So we're reading in the Book of Beginnings, Canto 3, the Yoga of the Soul's Release. This is about King Asvapati, who will become the human father of Savitri. Aurobindo told us at the beginning of this canto that why was Savitri born? How did it happen? A world's desire compelled her mortal birth. So that one who represented the need of the earth for the coming down of an incarnation of the Supreme Divine Mother, that is King Asvapati. And the whole first half of the book is about his yoga. We are just starting on first steps of King Asvapati's yoga. And what we were reading the last time we were together was about the gifts of the Spirit that crowding came to him. And these gifts of the Spirit, they give him subtle experiences. All was revealed there, none can here express. Vision and dream were fables spoken by truth, or symbols more veridical than fact, or were truths enforced by supernatural seals. Immortal eyes approached and looked in his, and beings of many kingdoms neared and spoke. The ever-living whom we name as dead could leave their glory beyond death and birth to utter the wisdom which exceeds all phrase. The kings of evil and the kings of good, appellants at the reason's judgment seat, proclaimed the gospel of their opposites, and all believed themselves spokesmen of God. The gods of light and titans of the dark battled for his soul as for a costly prize. In every hour, loosed from the quiver of time, there rose a song of new discovery, a bow twang's hum of young experiment. Each day was a spiritual romance, as if he was born into a bright new world. Adventure leaped, an unexpected friend, and danger brought a keen, sweet tang of joy. Each happening was a deep experience. There were high encounters, epic colloquies, and counsels came couched in celestial speech, and honeyed pleadings breathed from occult lips to help the heart to yield to rapture's call. And sweet temptations stole from beauty's realms, and sudden ecstasies from a world of bliss. It was a region of wonder and delight. all now his bright, clear audience could receive. A contact thrilled of mighty unknown things, awakened to new unearthly closenesses. The touch replied to subtle infinities. And with a silver cry of opening gates, sights, lightnings leaped into the invisible. Ever his consciousness and vision grew. They took an ampler sweep, a loftier flight. He passed the border marked for matter's rule, and past the zone where thought replaces life. Suresh, you will begin.
All was revealed, the known can have expressed. Vision and dream were fable spoken by truth, or symbols more vertical than fact, or were truth enforced by supernatural sales.
Yes. So there, in these subtle worlds that he's looking into, everything was revealed that here we can't put into words. Artists may have contact with these subtle worlds and try to express them, but somehow we can't do it. All was revealed there. None can here express. None of us can do it. He experiences visions and dreams, and those visions and dreams are fables. Fables are small stories that carry a message, a teaching. So these fables, these visions and dreams that he sees were spoken by truth. They are full of truth. Or they were symbols, not fables, but symbols. A symbol is some image, some item or figure that expresses much more than itself. Now we have Mother's symbol. If we understand the deeper meaning of Mother's symbol, it teaches us so much. Similarly with Aurobindo's symbol, even Auroville's symbol, it has an inner meaning. So these symbols, it says, were more veridical than fact. Veridical means truth speaking, speaking the truth. So when we look at the facts and face the facts of the world around us, we tend to think that that is truth. But sometimes these earthly realities are only symbols of things that are much deeper truths. Or those visions and dreams that he saw were actual truths, enforced by supernatural seals. A seal is a mark. Kings used to have a special ring, a signet ring, and that they could make the mark of that ring on any command that they make. Nowadays we use rubber stamps for a similar purpose. But if the king puts his seal, it shows his authority. It has to be done. That command or edict has to be enforced. So here it is supernatural seals beyond our ordinary nature that are enforcing those truths which he sees in those visions and dreams.
Is there any difference between verdict and veridical?
Veridical. Yes, there is. Then these two words might be connected. I had never thought about it. I'll have to look it up in the dictionary and find out. But veridical, it's the verite, the truth. And dice means to speak in Latin. So truth speaking.
And verify?
And to verify, that's connected also with truth. No? To make sure that something's true, you look at it.
But in French, it's like véridique, c'est véridique. In French,
Yes.
C'est vrai.
Speaking, yeah, it means simply it's true.
C'est-à-dire, this situation is véridique.
Mm. Yeah, that's what we find that these European languages, just as many of the Indian languages are, they have words that are similar because they're all coming from the same Sanskrit root. In our European languages, if the words come from a Latin or a Greek root, they'd be the same or similar in the many different languages.
Aurobindo avec fable.
A fable, yeah.
Les fables de La Fontaine.
Yes, yes. Same in French. Fabula is a little story in Latin, no? So who's Bebel?
Immortal eyes approached and looked in his, and beings of many kingdoms neared and spoke. The ever-living, whom we name is dead, could leave their glory beyond death and birth, to utter the wisdom which exceed all phrase. The kings of evil and the kings of good, Appellants, at the reason's judgment seat, proclaimed the gospel of their opposites, and all believed themselves spokesmen of God. The gods of light and the titans of the dark battled for his soul as for a costly prize.
Yes. So these are experiences that start to come as the inner being opens up to the subtle worlds. Immortal eyes, eyes of beings who are not born and who don't die, came close and looked into his eyes. And beings of many kingdoms came near to him and spoke to him. Later on in Book 2, we will see King Asvapati exploring those many kingdoms of the subtle worlds. But here it's the beings are coming close to him and speaking to him. And among those beings are some of the ever-living, immortal beings that we think are dead. They've lived on earth as human beings, but although they've left their mortal forms, they are still immortal beings. And they could leave their heavenly home, their glory, that state that they are in beyond death and birth. They could leave those places and come to utter the wisdom, to speak to Asvapati and share with him wisdom which can't be put into ordinary words, which exceeds, which goes beyond all phrases. I think I mentioned before that when we are reading these passages, we are told and we believe that these are experiences that Sri Aurobindo himself had. There's somebody in the Sri Aurobindo archives in Pondi who is studying these parts of the poem and correlating them with the notebooks where Aurobindo noted down certain experiences he had in his own sadhana. When I read this about the ever-living whom we name as dead, could leave their glory beyond death and birth to utter the wisdom which exceeds all phrase. Aurobindo has told us about an experience that he had when he was in Alipur jail. And he was doing very intensive sadhana at that time. And he's told us that the spirit of Vivekananda came to him successively over a series of nights for 2 or 3 weeks. He said he kept coming until he had made me understand something. And then when I'd understood it, then he stopped coming. So it's this wisdom which exceeds all phrase. And then these opposing forces, contradictory forces, the kings of evil and the kings of good, they are appellants at the reason's judgment seat. For us, our judge, the power in us which should distinguish between what is good and what is evil, what is right and what is wrong. It's our reason. Later on, when we develop further, we will get a direct intuitive touch and we won't need to use the reason so much. But at our level, reason should be our guide. And these opposing forces, they're trying to gain the consent of his reason. It's like in a court, an appellant. It's 2 claimants in a court saying, I am right, I should get the prize or the compensation. So both the kings of evil and the kings of good are trying to gain the approval of King Aswapati's reason. They're proclaiming the gospel, their doctrines, their belief of their opposites. And all of those appellants representing good and evil in different forms, they all think that they are representing the divine. They present themselves like that. Aswapati has to discriminate between all those of many voices. The gods of light and the titans of the dark are battling for his soul as for a costly prize. He's a very highly developed being. They want him on their side. No? It will be a very precious prize for them if they win him over to their cause.
But Shraddhavan, I tell you, is true. The good and bad, and is a reason. When you receive attack,
Yes.
and the reason follow, but he know not follow, and is very, very, very interesting. But you not receive immediately. I call, for example, Aurobindo or Bhavan, and is not coming answer immediately. Is totally unexpected experience in Auroville, I tell you. Recently is the result. I tell you.
You mean you had the experience of the gods of evil and the titans of the dark
Exact.
trying to win over your reason?
My reason is incredible battle.
Yes.
Inside me,
Yes.
I tell again and again and again,
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
And suddenly, I tell you, and suddenly Aurobindo and show me through these people. Another experience I never received, but is very, is not ordinary understanding. And for that is totally, I tell you, maybe I am not.
Yes,
But
it can be like you're losing your reason. When,
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now is the mind.
So that's why it's like a battle going on inside you.
Yeah.
So Ganga Lakshmi, you could read the next sentence, please.
In every hour loose from the quiver of time, there rose a song of new discovery. The bond twang's hum of young experiment. Each day was a spiritual romance, as if he was born into a bright new world. Adventure leaped and an unexpected friend, and danger brought a keen, sweet tang of joy. Each happening was a deep experience.
Yes. So there's a difficult image here. He says, in every hour loosed from the quiver of time. Quiver, it's a little movement, no? And let loose. So this quiver is not that little movement. This quiver is the container that the archer keeps his arrows in. His quiver. He has his arrows and this quiver, and he very quickly takes them out and looses them from his bow. You know? So the hours are like that. It's as if time is an archer, and he's letting the hours loose one after another. So every hour that's loosed from the quiver of time, actually, if you've ever been present at an archery competition, the sound that comes, the twang of the bow and the rush of the arrow, it's a very thrilling sort of sound. So that's what he's saying, that every hour that King Asvapati experienced, it was full of excitement. No? A bow twangs, that hum of the bow, of young experiment. Something new is happening, some new experience. Each day was a spiritual romance. Nowadays we usually use this word in the sense of a love affair, no? A romance. But in literature, a romance is a story full of fantastical adventures, things that couldn't really, you can't believe that they could happen. The hero goes from one adventure to another adventure. So that's what's happening for King Asvapati. Each day was a spiritual romance, some fantastic new adventure. And it's as if he's being born into a bright new world. So in the course of those romances, those adventures, adventure comes leaping out unexpectedly as a friend. It's bringing him something new and helpful. And when danger comes, if there's adventure, there can also be danger. But the experience of that danger, it's like a very special taste, a keen, sweet tang of joy, like maybe very strong lemon juice or something. Tang, it has a sharp taste, no? A taste of joy. Danger comes, he can delight in that danger. Each happening in this series of romances was a deep experience. Will you read?
There were high encounters, epic colloquies. The council's games couched in celestial speech, and honeyed readings read from Auroville. to help their heart to earn the rapturous God, and sweet temptation stole from beauty drawn, and sudden ecstasies from the world of bliss.
Yes. There were high encounters, meetings of great significance and importance, and epic colloquies. A colloquy is a conversation, usually only between two people. These are epic colloquies. They're full of significance and meaning. And counsels. He receives advice. This advice, this is given to him in celestial speech. Heavenly voices come and give him advice. And he's hearing pleadings. There are voices pleading with him, honeyed pleadings, very, very sweet voices, breathing. He can hear them whispering and calling to him from these occult lips, these hidden, secret beings, to help the heart to yield to rapture's call. He's being called to a very intense kind of delight. And maybe the heart at first is reluctant to yield to such intense delight. But those pleadings say, come, enjoy, won't you? Sweet temptations stole from beauty's realms. To steal as a verb, it means to come in unnoticeably, so that nobody notices you. Very quietly, secretly they come in. We use the word also of the thief who comes and steals things from your house. No? So in order to do that, he has to steal in. He has to creep in very quietly and unnoticeably. So these temptations are calling to him, creeping in from the realms of beauty. And also sudden ecstasies steal in from a world of bliss. It was a region of wonder and delight. He's having all these wonderful experiences. Did you read that line, Kamala?
No.
Will you read it now, please? Yeah.
It was a region of wonder and delight.
Alice.
All now his bright clairaudience could receive, a contact thrilled mighty unknown things, awakened to new unearthly closenesses. The touch replied to subtle infinities, and with a silver cry of opening gates, sight's lightnings leapt into the invisible.
All now his bright clairaudience could receive. We're familiar with the word clairvoyance. No? It means to be able to see things with the subtle sight. Clairaudience is the capacity of subtle hearing. And I think we read a little earlier about all the wonderful things that he could hear. So now his bright clairaudience, this clear hearing, could receive everything. And so his being thrills with the contact of mighty, powerful, unknown things. The touch also, the subtle touch, is awakened to new, unearthly closenesses. Our sense of touch tells us about material things. but a subtle touch, it can bring close the experiences of unearthly things. And the touch replied to subtle infinities, to limitless realms and possibilities. And with a silver cry of opening gates, sights, lightnings leaped into the invisible. Silver, of course, is a color, but it's a metal. And that metal can make a sound. If we imagine gates that are made of silver, some metal gates, when you try to open them, they make a very jarring, rough sound. No? But if those are heavenly gates made of silver, then the sound will be very, very beautiful. A silver cry of opening gates. As those gates open onto new subtle realms, his sight, like flashes of lightning, can leap into realms that have been invisible or that are invisible to our eyes.
It is really given how he hears the unknown things and how he could see the heavenly things, all those things.
Yes. And these things are coming suddenly, no? Sights, lightnings leaped. He can suddenly, the subtle sight is free to move swiftly into new realms that have been unseen so far. Will you read? Yes.
The word is consciousness and vision grew. Good methods sweet, not pure light. And fast forward, not forth, into the school. And past the zone where good reaches.
Yes. So ever, all the time, his consciousness and his power of vision is growing wider, more powerful, higher. They took an ampler sweep. Ample means full, so more full. The sweep, the range of his consciousness and his vision. And they can fly higher, a loftier flight, lofty, high. So like powerful birds, his consciousness and his vision can fly higher and higher. So he goes beyond the realm that's the border that's marked for the rule of matter, beyond the limit of material existence. And he passed the zone where thought replaces life. We have the world of matter, we have the world of life, we have the world of thought. He goes beyond matter, he goes beyond life, he goes beyond thought. Mila.
Out of this world of science, suddenly he came into a silent self, where world was not, and looked beyond into a nameless past.
Yes. So he's been exploring the subtle physical worlds, having all these experiences. But now he passes out of this world of signs, of appearances. He came into a silent self, a state of silent self-existence where there's no world, there's no signs, there's no existences. And he looks beyond that silence into a nameless vastness. This is a very significant moment in the development of the inner being, entering into this nameless vast of silence. We'll read a little further about what this experience means to King Aswapati. Would you read, please?
These symbol figures lost their right to live. All tokens dropped our sense can recognize. There, the heartbeat no more at body's touch. There, the eyes gaze no more on beauty's shape.
So all these symbol figures that we have around us in the physical world and in the subtle figure world, these symbol figures lost their right to live in that silent vastness. All the things that our sense, our physical sense or our subtle sense can recognize, they just dropped away. Even the sense of the heart beating ceased. The heart beat no more at body's touch. And the eyes cannot gaze on beauty's shape anymore. There are no more signs, no more forms, no more bodies. Dhanalakshmi, would you read?
In glad and loosened intervals of hush, into a signless region it would soar, packed with the deep contents of formlessness, where word was into a single being wrapped, and all was known by the light of identity, and spirit was its own self-evidence.
Yes. So this is not happening all the time. It happens rarely. But there are these moments, these passages of time, intervals of silence, full of light, lucent. Aswapati's consciousness is able to soar up into a region where there are no signs, no forms. And that region, Sri Aurobindo says, is packed with the deep contents of formlessness. Sometimes I have been able to share with the group a kind of diagram that Mother has made with Huta, showing the different levels of existence, from the inconscient to the physical, the vital, the different levels of mind and beyond mind. And then it comes to a kind of borderline of pure white. And Mother explained to Huta that it's possible for the human consciousness to go beyond all this manifestation into that transcendent realm. But she said, usually when that happens, the person to whom it happens feels that that place, that realm is empty, that it's a complete emptiness. But she said it's not like that. In fact, that transcendent realm is packed full of possibilities. There's no form there, but infinite possibilities of form are there. And of course, Mother said that's what Sri Aurobindo did. He went into that realm and he seized hold of a new possibility for the earth and brought it down here. So Aswapati, occasionally he's able to rise up into that realm that's packed with the deep contents of formlessness. Their world is wrapped seized into a single being, and everything is known by the light of identity. That by identifying with that state, that oneness, everything can be known, all those deep contents. In that realm, spirit was its own self-evidence. Nothing needs to be explained or proved. Spirit experiences the realm of spirit and knows it intimately and deeply. Lady on the back row, would you read? You? Will you read?
The Supreme's gaze looked out through human eyes and saw all things and creatures as itself, and knew all thought and word as its own voice. There, unity is too close for search and cross. And love is the yearning of the one for the one, and beauty is a sweet difference of the same, and oneness is the soul of multitude.
Thank you. The Supreme Consciousness is looking out through Asvapati's human eyes and seeing all things and all creatures as itself, as part of its own being, and knows all thought and word as its own voice. This is this knowledge by identity of the Spirit. When we think of unity, we think of the union of separate things. But in that realm, unity is too close for search and clasp. There's nothing to unite with. It is all one. And love, there's still love. Love is something mutual, no? But love there is a yearning of the one for the one. And beauty is a sweet difference of the same. The one expressing itself in sweet difference. And oneness is the soul of multitude. There are many, many, many uncountable, infinite expressions of the one, but oneness unites them all. Oneness is the soul of multitude. Joel.
There all the truths unite in a single truth, and all ideas rejoin reality.
I'll stop you there. Beautiful 2 lines. All the truths. Here in our world, truths are often conflicting with each other. But at that level, all truths unite. It's not that they get lost or dissolved. They all find their true place. They all unite in a single truth. And all ideas rejoin reality. Ideas can seem rather unreal to us, no, abstract. But there, all ideas rejoin reality. That's where I'd like to stop for today.
Rejoin is the word, or rejoin is it? Like, the meaning of it is rejoin?
To join again. The ideas have sprung from reality. they rejoin, they join their own reality again. So those who would like to stay and reread these lines, we'll go back to the beginning and read them all together. If anybody has to leave, they can leave quietly now. So we go back to line 297. All was revealed there, none can here express. Vision and dream were fables spoken by truth, or symbols more veridical than fact, or were truths enforced by supernatural seals. Immortal eyes approached and looked in his, and beings of many kingdoms neared and spoke. The ever-living, whom we name as dead, could leave their glory beyond death and birth, to utter the wisdom which exceeds all phrase. The kings of evil and the kings of good, appellants at the reason's judgment seat, proclaimed the gospel of their opposites, and all believed themselves spokesmen of God. The gods of light and titans of the dark battled for his soul as for a costly prize. In every hour loosed from the quiver of time, there rose a song of new discovery, a bow twang's hum of young experiment. Each day was a spiritual romance, as if he was born into a bright new world. Adventure leaped an unexpected friend, and danger brought a keen, sweet tang of joy. Each happening was a deep experience. There were high encounters, epic colloquies, and counsels came couched in celestial speech, and honeyed pleadings breathed from occult lips to help the heart to yield to rapture's call. And sweet temptations stole from beauty's realms, and sudden ecstasies from a world of bliss. It was a region of wonder and delight. All now his bright clairaudience could receive, a contact thrilled of mighty unknown things, awakened to new unearthly closenesses. The touch replied to subtle infinities, and with a silver cry of opening gates, sight's lightnings leapt into the invisible. Ever his consciousness and vision grew. They took an ampler sweep, a loftier flight. He passed the border marked for matter's rule, and past the zone where thought replaces life. Out of this world of signs, suddenly he came into a silent self where world was not, and looked beyond into a nameless vast. These symbol figures lost their right to live. All tokens dropped our sense can recognize. There the heart beat no more at body's touch. There the eyes gazed no more on beauty's shape. In rare and lucent intervals of hush, into a signless region he could soar, packed with the deep contents of formlessness, where world was into a single being wrapped, and all was known by the light of identity, and spirit was its own self-evidence. The Supreme's gaze looked out through human eyes, and saw all things and creatures as itself, and knew all thought and word as its own voice. There, unity is too close for search and clasp, and love is a yearning of the one for the one, and beauty is a sweet difference of the same, and oneness is the soul of multitude. There all the truths unite in a single truth, and all ideas rejoin reality.